Gammon thoughts, not quite Brexit, but if you haven't heard in the crowd, then you want to exit. It's Gammon thoughts.
It's something. It's something.
Is that okay?
It's okay.
It's better than last week. Did I say it right?
There's more thought and purpose than last week, anyway.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the third episode of our Cal and Dom Talks Nonsense podcast. And what do we call this podcast? Because what's after the lactate test, Cal? What is actually after that?
I think we're getting towards friendly territory, aren't we?
Towards friendly. Like, are we going to like a Unibond Premier side? We're going to play 2XIs, and we're gonna sort of see who fits in the team, and next week we'll know who the actual starting XI is. So first of all, Cal, how are you doing?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm absolutely great. Yeah, the podcast, if we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit, came out today, and a couple of glitches and a couple of re-edits had to happen, but we got there in the end. But guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to this channel. And also, what we're going to do now is we're going to add the podcast onto the Cal and Dom Talks Nonsense Pod. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Yes, that's it, mate.
I'll put it in the description below. It's definitely hard to say that the first time description as a northern lad. So if anyone likes the video as well, please like it. And also, please get in your gammon thoughts, like we say every time. Please say who you're, well, not Neek of the Week anymore. We've scrapped that one. That bit is RIP. It's gone, and it is resting above us. Or below us, probably. It's probably below us, to be honest. First of all, Cal, second question. Guess the training top.
Oh, God.
I got it this week.
It's a nice one.
It is nice. It's not nice, as in like the team.
It looks Olympic-y.
Apparently, it's Slovenia.
Slovenia, right?
We can say
never have got that.
I think it's a training top, to be honest with you. But guys, we'll tell you the not formation, but the format of this podcast. So we're going to talk about last episode. Obviously, we're going to talk about the weekend games because we've actually got some weekend games to talk about. Yes. My God, there's football going on. Kyle's going to talk about a game that he's going to potentially this weekend.
Yes,
find out what game it is. We're going to talk about the England shirt and our thoughts on that. Random football of the week. My personal favourite, honestly, is I love it.
Yeah.
Gammon thoughts, like we say, we're going to try and push that as much as we can. Nonsense Hall of Fame, which is replacing Neek of the Week, and then we're going to go on the outro. So, how do we think the last episode went?
Do you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was really refreshing after week one to actually have some serious stuff to talk about and get sunk into. To talk about the Todd Bowley stuff was brilliant, and I've been speaking to people all week, and opinions are all over the place about that one, and rightly so. But it's brilliant, and being able to pick our teams, loved that as well. And the England squad, having a quick brush over that was brilliant, and all the features, they're always fun.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had a bit more of a structure and a bit more of a planning stage and actual graphics involved this week helped a lot. And it was, like I say, it felt a lot more enjoyable as a podcast. And we won't do this every time. It's just in pre-season we'll talk about the last episode, because that's what you got to do in pre-season. You got to talk about the last game, how it went, how last training session. Who won the lactate? Who won the lactate?
Well, I think the North beat the South, so I'm going to say that I was the James.
Right, okay. Right, cool. I'm out on loan to wherever.
I'm taking it.
I'm out on loan to the Championship for the season. That's fun. So we're going to talk about like the weekend games, and we've sort of discussed like before the pod, like which games do we want to talk about. Just the Saturday games were pretty poor, weren't they? There's not much in terms of talking points, and I think the big one is Leicester versus Spurs. And I remember seeing at halftime 3-2. Okay, yes, it's a good game, but at full time 6-2. Carl, what do you think about the game?
You know what? I watched the game, and at full-time, half-time, you're absolutely right. It was a really good game. Obviously, the Maddison goal. It was really, really great effort from both teams. They were both trying their absolute best for the victory. And at 3-2 at half time, I wouldn't have been confident betting either side on either of the teams. Second half, it's the story of Leicester's season. You know, if you look at them in depth, they've been trying. You can't help. They've not been bottling it in a sense of trying. It's just always seems to be they're outran, or people just find them out, and they get to a point where they're in games, and you know, Heung-min Son being on the bench, by the way, I think that's a thing of the past, isn't it? So he came on and obviously did what he did, scored a hat trick, which, hats off to him. Absolutely fantastic. But I think the overwhelming feeling for me regarding Leicester at this point is there's something there. And you look at the team on paper, it's still a good little team. But I personally just believe for Brendan Rodgers, God love him, it's just a match that you can't have anymore. Him and Leicester it's just finished. It's past its sell-by date. Yeah. I think they're both still in good nick. I think Leicester's team are in good nick, and Brendan Rodgers is a manager, the same. But when it comes to that pairing, I think it needs to part ways as of right now.
Yeah, like you say, it always happens. It's like a story arc to every sort of managerial process. And whether Leicester are a team that want to get rid of him right now, it's a weird one to say, because we don't actually know what Leicester's policy on sacking the managers are. But I will say that this stemmed from before the preseason, didn't it? Like the Thailand owners, they own a airline business, so they were one of the sectors that got hit the most during COVID, and they have the aftermath of all this. So whether or not that's an excuse for them, I'm not too sure, because Brendan Rodgers finished fifth, and eighth in the last 3 seasons. And even last season, when they didn't really pull up any trees, they ended up finishing eighth, which is a testament to Brendan Rodgers in itself. But like you say, Brendan Rodgers looks fed up, doesn't he? He looks absolutely fed up in the team, and rightly so, because look at the signings that they made this season. They brought in Wow Faze. Is that his name?
Doesn't do it for me. I'm
Alex
sorry.
Smithers, as a backup goalkeeper. They let go for Fafana. Let go of Kasper Schmeichel out of the back door, by the way.
Yeah.
After 10 years of service, that was a real quiet transfer, weren't it? And Tielemans looks like a ghost at the minute. He looks like a player that's just sat there ready for an Arsenal or Man United.
He looks like a player that should have gone this summer. That's what he looks
coasting,
like.
isn't he? He's just absolutely coasting. But they look so porous and look so susceptible at the back, don't they? They've conceded 22 goals in 7 games, which is the worst since 1965. And England didn't even win the World Cup by then. But you talk about the lack of funding, and that's anyone would be upset by it, because if Leicester had an actual depth of a squad in the last 3 seasons, they would have been a top 4 side. 2 or 3 seasons ago, they finished 5th twice. They finished 3rd 2 seasons ago. They should have definitely been in that Champions League. You remember it? It was the last game of the season, and Chelsea somehow sneaked into it, and Leicester didn't get in there. When you look at their away games, they've had Arsenal, obviously, Chelsea, who aren't great, but they're still a top 4 or 6 side. Brighton at the peak, lost 5-2, and now Spurs away. So the next game against Forest is a massive one, huge one. Not in terms of just where they are in the league, because they've only had 1 point. Obviously, that's not great. But in terms of, because it's an East Midlands derby as well. Like, if they lose that one, he's gone. I think he's gone.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about the about that fixture in itself is, do you remember the cup fixture from last season?
Yes.
I remember watching that game, and credit to Forest, who was in the Championship at the time, and they absolutely outclassed Leicester in every... And Leicester weren't at this point then. They were doing okay at that point. Yeah. They outclassed them in every essence of the word. If you think football, everything about it, battered them and moved on, and eventually faced us.
4-1.
Yeah. And it's... Oh, God. If something like that happens again, I'm personally surprised he's not gone already.
I'm of the camp of he needs to stay a bit longer, but if it go, like you say, a 4-1 again, like there's no way that he's going to survive that, is there?
No.
But he's got the sort of excuse of he's not had anything this summer, has he? Like I say.
No, of course, and that's something to factor in. Of course, it is. But
exactly.
I think when you have a squad like Leicester's, it's not the worst in the world. If you haven't been backed in the summer, you've got to make do and mend, and currently that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, there's not been backed, and then there's like just completely given up, isn't there? I think that's what it is at the minute. On the flip side, Spurs, do they look like a title challenging side?
It's strange with Spurs because I watched them against Sporting Lisbon the other night, and they got beat, but the goals in 90 and 93 minutes. But I thought I watched them this season, and it just seems like I'm not utterly convinced yet. And the results speak for themselves. They're right up there, of course they are. But there just seems something about them that. Yves Bissouma, for me, I thought he would be the absolute man for them this season. I thought that transfer for the money that they paid for him as well. I thought, wow, that is a shrewd bit of business. And he hasn't hit the ground running. And Conte came out this week and spoke about he's the one who's struggling the most with the tactics.
Really?
Not quite got his head round it just yet, which is a fair comment, to be honest. And, I've heard Jurgen Klopp say that a million times about a player, and then they come through and do what they're supposed to eventually. Fabinho being the biggest one for that. And I remember he was out of the team for a while and then came in. But Bissouma for me, I thought if he was in the team now and firing like he was at Brighton and this was all happening, I'd be like, yeah, they have a complete setup there. But I don't know, there's just something about them that, dare I say, a bit Spursy.
You might do, but I understand what you mean, like, as in terms of they're just about getting away with it at the minute. I feel like there's an aura of just like, okay, Jesus, like we're just about got away with that. And I think listening from Spurs pods, they think the same thing. And other than the 6-2, and even this game when it was 6-2, I feel like they even think that they just about got away with this one because they were behind twice in this game. So
yeah.
If Leicester weren't as susceptible at the back, you'd say that but they are top of the league.
Yeah.
Apart from one team.
Yeah.
Which is the next game we're going to talk about, which is Arsenal versus Brentford. Now, this is parallel, or what's the opposite of parallel?
Parallel.
Parallel.
Speaking of Arsenal, I made a little premonition. I was speaking to my dad, actually. I'll probably listen to this as well. I shook hands with my dad on a gentleman's bet early doors this season. I think it was after our Fulham game.
Okay.
No, I think it might have been the second
first game of the season.
After the second week, I think it was. And I said, if we don't win the Premier League this season, Arsenal will. and after the Man United loss, I thought, that is so Arsenal. That like they build this hype up to this point, and then the first hurdle crashes down. But then you watch that Arsenal Man United game, but I watched it in a pub, so obviously I was not fully involved. I was having a drink with friends. Watched it there, and then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to watch it again. So I watched it back when I went home, and I thought, how on earth have they lost that game? And then by the scoreline as well, I thought, Jesus God, they played well there. And some unlucky chances, and they are, for me, they look really solid. And I think the players that they have as well, and the age group, I think it's only going one way as well. And I think that's upwards. I'm a massive, massive fan of Arsenal. And I don't think it's entirely a hype job. I think they're going to be okay this season.
Yeah, it's a good start to the season, isn't it? And I do reiterate the fact that Arsenal should have won that game. Like Odegaard, when he fouled that first goal. Any other time before VAR, they wouldn't have given that for a foul.
Exactly.
He didn't at the time. And it was only when you put it in 0.25 frames.
Everything looks worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And it was a perfectly, it was a perfect goal. Perfectly given goal in any other era of football. Yeah. I don't think that, like I say, I don't think the hype is false, to be fair. I think that we are 7 games into the season, 8 games into the season now, and they are top of the table. So we are, it's weird. It's such a weird season because usually by September 19th, which is the day that we're doing it on, it's like, oh yeah, but the hype is too real right now. But we're like a third the way. with 38 games. We're 8-9 games
into it, aren't we?
Yeah, we're properly into it. It's
Yeah.
like we're almost into November now. It's like a proper stage of the season. But the complete comparison with this and last season, where they lost 3-0 home away to Brentford, where they won 3-0. You know,
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira, I will give a little shout out what a finish that was as well. Yeah. It looks like a real prospect, and Riley Vieira does well for Arsenal, doesn't it? And for some reason, I have this like little soft spot for Arsenal. I'm not too sure where it comes from.
I could tell you where it comes from because I'm the exact same. And I was speaking to my dad about it actually when I watched the game. Back in the day, that was the team.
Yeah.
In our exact age group, I think if you're any later or younger than us, you have a slightly different view in some form.
So when did you start watching football? I started watching football in 2002.
Yeah, my first memory. I think my first memory might be that World Cup in 2002.
Yes,
around that
I know
point.
Exactly that. I know exactly that one because in my cupboard there, and if I had time, I'd dig it out. I have the predictions which I wrote when I was that age.
Really?
Yeah, still. Yeah, I remember writing down Republic of Ireland 3, Spain 3, and thinking that I remember that being the first game I ever remember.
Yeah, and so I look back at that point. So and obviously at that point, that Arsenal team, mate.
Oh, 2003-4. Yeah, I mean,
Invincible speaks for itself, but you can name every player on that pitch.
Yeah, we can now.
Thierry Henry.
No, we go through the team. Jens Lehmann, Laurent, Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Was Tony Adams in that squad? Was it a bit after him, the Invincibles?
Was it Keown?
Oh, was it not Colo Torre?
It could have been actually. It could have been.
I think
Right, so we got mids of
Gilberto Silva. Oh, what a player!
Is it one that Ray Parlour wasn't he there?
Ray Parlour was knocking around that term, but all these players, obviously, Patrick Vieira, captain, Perez Lundberg,
yeah,
Bergkamp.
Exactly.
So that team
speaks
for itself. Yeah, and him. that team speaks for itself. But I think one thing that always stood out for me as a kid was the kit. I don't know why. There's just something seriously iconic about the white sleeves, the red top, the 02 Nike. It just always stuck with me
as well.
I'll even when they've been struggling in recent years, when they built the Emirates, it's a beautiful stadium, and just everything about that club I've always loved. And Arsene Wenger is one of my favourite football people of all time. So
because he brought that football into our
exactly.
Without
so I've always had a soft spot for him. I think a lot of people do. They might not admit it, but they definitely do. And to see them how they're doing now, my favourite thing about this Arsenal team at the minute is that Mikel Arteta he could have and probably should have been sacked about 3 times before now, and he hasn't been. And now they're reaping the rewards. And it just makes you think, maybe we should give managers time.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe we should give them time. Maybe that's it.
I'm made up for them, to be honest.
Maybe they need a team which they need to evolve into their actual system. And
exactly. Seems crazy, doesn't it?
CC Watford.
Yeah, well...
Now, I mean, this is going to be a dodgy link, So we talk about the 2001, 2002 era. In that era, Roy Keane broke somebody's knee.
He did.
It was Haaland.
And then it was Alfie Inge Haaland.
What he didn't break was his cock. Right. So...
Yes. and a part of me wishes he might have gone and done that, actually. Because the fella that we're about to talk about, if you follow us on Twitter at Talk Nonsense Pod, you'll have seen I put a little tweet out about 5 minutes before kickoff, just saying how many goals will this man score today, and it was Erling Haaland, and rightly so, he popped one in for us, didn't he?
60 minutes later, he got in the goal. He's an
I've ran out of words for the guy.
That's it. And I think we're all hoping that he wasn't as good as he was. We were going, Bundesliga tax. I was the same. I was like, I hope that, look at Jadon Sancho the first season. Look at Kai Havertz. Look at Timo Werner. They scored 20 goals a season. This guy is an absolute robot, absolute freak. And He scored 10 goals in 7 games.
Do you know what my biggest worry about him is at this point now? Is the whole talk after he started scoring a few in his first few games was, oh, it's all right, he gets injured mid-season.
Yeah.
And I was looking back at a couple of Dortmund games and like looking at his stats in those games, and he was actually a lot more involved in the tactics at Dortmund. So he had a lot more touches on the ball at City.
Really?
You've seen so far at City, his average is what, like 15 touches?
5, yeah.
So he might not be completely tactically aware of City's and Pep Guardiola's, thoughts for the team, but at the same time, it's working. You wouldn't really want to change it, would you? So if he's touching the ball 15 times per game, not breaking a sweat, probably come off after a hat trick, things like this, and then he's got a big fat break when everybody's battling out of the World Cup.
Right, okay.
I've
just thought of something, okay. What we need to do is we need to manifest Haaland, not a serious injury. We don't want like a Mark Owen hamstring, but like a little metatarsal. Do we need something, just something like there? Like a... Do it like
the little an inconvenience to him.
Like what is the most injury thing you can have without it being like, because I think the issue is right now is we'd love Haaland to be in the Premier League, but just not for City. Any other team, we'd love him to be there. And even if he went to Real Madrid, we're like, let's just leave. It's just because he's at City and City was so good the last 4 or 5 seasons. It's like, oh, come on. Let's not make this a farm. Let's not make this an uncompetitive division. Come on.
Well, that's it. I think our worst fears have come true with it as well, because I think a lot of us did have more hopes than educated thoughts about him joining that City system and thinking, oh, yeah, maybe he won't get it. Maybe he'll just get injured, things like this. He won't hit the ground running. The sad reality is the system's working just fine and he fits it like a glove, and he scored this many goals so far. And we're at a point now where I've got to sit back at this point and think, if the season's truly over, the Golden Boot race is over, things like this, maybe I should just enjoy what history I think I might be about to see.
Yeah. And
I think that's the only thing getting me through it, to be honest, is if I see him hit 50, which wouldn't surprise me at this point, I don't even think I'd bat an eyelid. But if I see him and then at the end of the season I go, he scored 50 goals, and you think, wow.
I think in his contract, though, he has a release clause. I think that's what was put in there. So I think the aim is now to go to Real Madrid in a couple of seasons. So I think what will happen, it will be a case of he'll get all these records, but he won't get like the big one, as in like Alan Shearer, Harry Kane-esque. Yeah. But what a sight it will be. It'll be one of them players that are just like Ruud van Nistelrooy-esque, just like, boop, boop, like. Yeah. Do you think if Haaland was in any of those former teams, he'd do as well? Like, do you think he would do well at like a Man United when Ruud was there, or a Thierry Henry went in that invincible season? Do you think this City team suits him so perfectly, or is it the case of he's so good?
After listening to Pep himself and a couple of players in their interviews, my biggest fear is that I don't think he currently fits in to the team or the setup. It's more, obviously, with lack of touches says one thing. And it seems to be at this point, they aren't entirely familiar with him. They haven't figured him out properly, how they could utilise it, which sounds silly with the goal returns. But it's almost like maybe, you look at Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, what he did, pulling the strings in that team, being the best player. Haaland's joined this team. He's come straight in, scored a great amount of goals. But it's almost like the way they speak in the interviews is that, no, actually, we want him to be doing something. Obviously, this is brilliant, he's scoring goals, but he's not quite bought into what we're doing yet. And I think, what the hell do you have planned for him? What do you want him to do?
Or either that, or don't ruin it. Like, just keep it going.
It's that. And it's strange because looking at Manchester City with a centre forward in itself is strange. I remember when we played them in the Community Shield at the start of the season, it didn't look right at all, and it obviously didn't work.
Yeah,
and we managed to get the win. But us as well, with Darwin, who hasn't started in that same vein as Erling Haaland. But I looked at it at the start and I thought, oh, this might be a problem for City. They might take some serious getting used to this centre forward here. And I was wrong, and they have absolutely flown through it.
I don't think it'll be as as strong as this because who have they played? Wolves, Villa. Have they played anyone?
Not
West Ham that need to sort themselves out.
Yeah, they're having a nightmare, aren't they?
Again, I'm trying to make excuses for Haaland not doing too well. But yeah, he's an absolute freak.
Yeah.
Now, Cal, we're going to go on to this next little bit. And this is something that you brought to us. So we were in the chat the other day and obviously brought up a question. We were a little bit bevied, I will say, but there's a question that I brought to you because as a Blackburn fan, obviously I can go to a game every week. And what was the question? What was the actual question?
It was mainly I was talking about being a Liverpool fan, not being able to go as much as I'd like to, and things like this. And I remember you saying to me, and it was really poignant. It hit me properly. You said, "Do you think you've missed out on the general love of being a football fan?" And I sat back for a minute. And I thought, "Wow, what a question that is." And my answer was, "Yeah." And so this will lead us into this feature. It was something that I'd thought about before we'd even spoke about doing a podcast, but it linked in beautifully after we was having these meetings, post-pod meetings about the next one and where we can go. And I'd been thinking for a while, my local team is Warrington Town. They're just down the road. They're in the league below the Vanarama North. They lost in the playoff final. They'd have been in FM23, but Scarsborough, fuckers. So they're doing well. They're a good little team in that, and they've got every chance of going up again this year. And I've been thinking about it for ages. I thought, why have I never been there? Never been to the ground. Never, gone for a game and enjoyed it. They have a beautiful little bar set up there and everything with all the afternoon fixtures on. And I've been thinking for a while, I'm going to go and do it. And this podcast and that question really, Dom, made me think, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I've bought a ticket to go and watch Warrington Town this coming Saturday. They are playing FC United at home.
Do you know the
Cantilever Park?
Do you know the history of FC United?
I do, and as a Liverpool fan, I think it'll be a great intro for me to want to beat them. Yeah, but no, obviously, a good little team themselves. They, have loads of promotions over the years that they've been there, and I just thought, well, I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but there's a difference between that and then going and doing it. So I've bought my ticket. Luckily, I've got a friend who's going to come with me on the weekend.
If not, just let me know.
Well, you can come if you want, mate, by all means. But I was going to go on my own, and then he said, "Yeah, I'm up for that. Sounds good." So obviously, it'll be brilliant having a mate there with me. I'm going to document it for this pod and let you know how it goes afterwards. But I'm really excited because I know the place, and it'll be my first experience in non-league football that isn't, Saturday League, FC Burton Wood stuff. And it's not even anywhere near competitive, not far off league football. I'm really excited, and so FC United at Cantilever Park on Saturday, 3:00. So I'm good to go.
See you there then. Carl Nicol live and direct there.
That's it.
So you've never been to a non-league game before, properly, like one of them high ones?
No, I think. Well, I was speaking to my dad. I think it's a couple of divisions below, but I was a mascot for Prescott Cables when I was a really young kid. My dad had sponsored them or something. I think there are a few divisions below, and so I was a mascot for them. I can't remember it at all. No, but so this will be the first time where I can go and have a pint and a pie, and
it's a lot more chilled than you used to. I suppose there won't be any you can go whatever stand you want. Like it's a very I remember when I was growing up, Accrington Stanley, the sort of town I live in is Accrington at the time. I was born in Blackburn, so that allows me to support them. But Accrington at the time were in the division that Warrington were in, actually, the Unibond Premier at the time. So I'm guessing it's the Northern Premier. Is that?
It is. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Northern Premier, Accrington, and also Burton Albion were in that league at the time as well.
Wow.
And John Coleman was still the manager in 2002, I think. I used to watch them all the time, every weekend, and it was class. It was good. They used to have I remember the first week I went, they had a raffle. Do you want to guess what the raffle prize was?
I couldn't imagine, though. Go on, tell me.
£5 of sausages.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I remember watching us against Telford FC, and we lost 5-1. But it's the little things like that that hooks you to football, and it cost £1 a game, something like that, and I ended up playing for the sort of academy at the time. And it was, I was involved in all that sort of thing. So, non-league, as it's not, the quality isn't there, but the community is there, and that's what you'll realize when you go. I think that's what you'll find out. Everyone knows everyone, sort of thing, and even if you feel like a bit of an outsider, I don't think you will after a game. You will enjoy it. I think you'll find out this sort of little niche talks rather than everyone. To be honest with you, everyone's there is either like a Liverpool or a United fan, but they love Warrington FC as well. So I think you'll love it.
I can't wait, to be honest, mate. I talked myself into doing it. And what a perfect way to start. I'm looking forward to it. I looked at the league table and, Warrington's doing all right. So I'm going to put my stamp down now that I'm a Warrington Town fan as well as I am a Liverpool fan. And I'm ready to go. And I've been following him for a few weeks. I've got him on flash scores and got beat this weekend. Hyde beat them in the cup, FA Cup.
Okay. The second qualifier.
Yeah, preliminary. Yeah. So not great, but FC United at the weekend and a promotion push, hopefully, that I can get behind.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I think what's weird for me is that when I started following Accrington in the Northern Premier, Blackburn were 5th in the Premier League, and now they're one division between each other, which is insane to think. Like, I think now, if I started sport, if I was back then, and they were in the divisions they were, I think I would be an Accrington fan, to be honest with you, because that would be the team that I went to first. But you just can't. There's nothing to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you go to the big stadium of Blackburn, it's like, wow, like it's just when you're a child, that's what you want to go for.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the thing for me is the situation at Liverpool is pretty notable that it's hard to get a ticket.
Yeah, and exactly. That's what it is.
Luckily, I think there's a chance. I've heard from a friend. I think there's a chance I might be able to get a couple of games this season. Which
that's mental. That is mental, though. I've never thought of that in my life. To be
honest. Exactly.
In my own head, and that's probably why I asked you. I was like, have you ever like properly experienced like game day after game day after game day? Because I can have a season ticket without having a season ticket. I can just go every game like without fail. And I went to the Blackburn Hartlepool game a few weeks ago just by myself, just sat there, and there was 10,000 fans in a 30,000 seat stadium. It's just
the day though, isn't it? And
yeah,
I'm looking forward to, because I know a couple of the pubs that are around there.
Yes.
And, going to them before. The plan is we've got a plan. We've got 2 pubs that we like that we're going to go to before. And we're going to walk down to Cantilever, obviously watch the game, and then sit in the supporters pub after, and then, see where the day goes from there. But
they're the best days. They are the best.
That's it.
Honestly,
and to be honest, going to watch Liverpool, it always just seems that little bit more hectic. Obviously, you're in a big city, you're in a ground that's full of 50-odd thousand people. It's just a bit more of a hectic experience. What I'm looking forward to is to be able to go, right, we'll do this, then we'll do that, and then
have you never done something like that?
Not at that level. No.
Every Blackburn game I go to, we go to like a pub before, a couple of pints, like by where I live. Then we get a taxi to a pub nearby. It's not like it's fine, like you'll have like whatever, how many you want. Then you'll have that one outside the ground, just stood there, absolutely fine. Go inside, watch Championship football, have a couple of, you make a full day of it, and then afterwards you go into the Blues Bar, which is the ground, and then you go wherever you want afterwards. It's just it's so calm, it's so easy, and I can't get my head around these top teams that have these like 50,000, 60,000. And it's just like no access anywhere. You can't do anything. I'm like, well, I can't. What?
Well, that's it. I think the last few seasons sort of lost, not being able to go and not being able to find a ticket. I've got friends that have been lucky enough to find tickets, and listen, you can do it. You just got to be in the right places and know the right people, and on Twitter and things like this. But no, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it, and I feel like it's going to be something that I think it's going to hook me from day one.
Yes, I think it might do. Right, so I think next up we're going to talk about the England shirts, and Carl, let's talk about them England shirts. Jesus Christ. I think our faces and our reactions say it all. really. Should we go from shirt to shirt? Is that the sound thing to do right now? Because there are
Can.
I mean, the first one we've got a lovely Harry Kane holding
Yeah.
a football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you
In a
think?
shirt.
What do you think of it? Do
I'd-
you want me to give my opinion? Start off.
Go on, you can start.
The
I'll try and
first
make it
thing, the
easy.
first thing to compare the home and away. I've got them up here on the screen right now. I'm not a fan of the different colours.
Yeah.
You know, they look like different era football, and one looks like the home shirt looks like an away, like a training top.
Yeah.
The away shirt's fine. It's fine, but it. Do you know what this screams to me, personally? We struggle in the group stage, and we just sort of get out on penalties in the last 16.
Yeah.
That's what it screams at me.
It does, doesn't it? And I think that is fair to look at a shirt because it just takes you back. It is one of the biggest things from a tournament. You think of the shirt and you think of, if the shirt's iconic, if it's not, and obviously you can go all the way back to 66 and you look at that shirt. I have an opinion on England shirts and I always have. You look at that 1966 shirt, which we won it, which is one of the greatest moments in English football history. Someone tell me, obviously you can change the material and things like that. Why can't it just be that? Why can't you just have that every time?
Does it? You don't
Literally a white shirt with an England badge, and if it's sponsored by Nike, all right, have a tick there, and then you have your numbers, things like this. Why don't you just have the exact same thing with obviously your new generational materials, things like this that'll help out the athletes, things like that. But I've never understood it. I think it's trying to be every time it's inviting scrutiny because we mastered it in 1966 by having a white shirt with an England badge on it with 3 lions on it, and then we had a red one with 3 lions on it. It's as simple as that.
And I think we got it right last year. The Euro's just gone with the number in the middle, and it just the more simple you have it, the better. And I think they've gone a bit
exactly.
And I feel like 2 teams have gone off and just made their own designs. Like I said, the different colours, it annoys me. The sort of my OCD-ness of it all, like it just very much annoys me. And I'm not a big fan of it. And so what if you're gonna rate it? If you're gonna grade it, A to F.
Oh God, I feel awful saying it because I know someone's probably spent their life's work thinking about it, but F. It genuinely is rubbish. And I remember when it came out, the first leak, it was ages ago, wasn't it? And I was like, it's never going to be that. Don't worry, it won't be.
I don't even remember that. I'd like
to there was a leak and it was like when like all our club shirts leak and it's like a 3D model. It's not even like an actual kit on a person. And it was a 3D model of it. I was like, there's no chance. There's absolutely no way. They've got that one wrong. I'll ignore it and we'll go again and we'll find a nice, lovely kit heading up towards the World Cup. But no, it's here and it's horrific. Terrible. It is simply horrific. And I don't even think winning the World Cup would warrant it being a nice kit.
I don't want to win the World Cup with that.
I think hopefully we go for the red one because out of the 2, the red one is a lot nicer. But
what they need to do is just bring back the 2020 shirt and just fucking put that on them.
But I liked the Lionesses shirt for the Euros. Was that simple? I've got it up here now. It was the simple white shirt, obviously, but then the logo had that. I can't even think of the word for it, but it was like multicolored. It was really cool, and it had that effect to it. And I thought, how simple and cool is that? It's minimalistic. It works. I'm looking at it now. Why? I know it's apparently it's a throwback to. Is it the? It's not the Gaza shirt. Is it the?
What though? What throwback? We've done better than.
Oh them. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. We've not. Yeah,
done better than them. What throwback?
There was a kit that had the turquoise and the dark blue with the white, obviously, and they've gone for that. Right. But I just think
that was like 1990, 1996.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's because it fits so bad on the person wearing it.
It's not a good start. It's not a good start, whatever it is.
No, and God, I just can't find any. The away kit grows on me every time I look at it.
That's the one I actually liked. Yes, that is actually the one I liked.
But why can't the home one have a collar like that? I think it'd add tenfold to it if it had a collar on it.
That is the first.
It's got that strange neck on it that just. And the new Liverpool kit has a neck like that, but it works fine because it's just fucking red. Do you know what I mean? It's not got these weird. Oh God, I could go on all night.
I think that's the main issue that I have. It's just the different colours. Like, what is going on? Like, why? What are you doing? Like, what? Nike make the worst kits. They do, hands down. They make the worst kits.
Yeah, but then there's times where they will crack it, but I'm looking at that away kit now on Phil Foden. I think that's not a bad kit at all. It doesn't scream anything at me, but
the shorts are shit. They actually,
I think the shorts have got to be navy or something, haven't they?
They've got to be thinner. Do you know what I mean? They've got to be thinner. Yeah, I don't know what they don't look like the swim shorts.
Yeah, everything about it just screams like you've just had such a memorable summer last year.
Yeah,
got to the final. You think you want your kit to be, something that people look at and go, "Wow, that is class." Also, and everything about it is not class.
Last thought: Phil Foden doesn't take a throw in. That's what I'll say.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Right. Okay. And now we're going to what I think our favourite segment will be. To be honest with you, last week it came. Did you know that I was going to do that jingle last week?
No, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Right, Cal, have you got your choice?
I have my choice.
And we've got a little surprise for you guys afterwards, after this little segment. So, are you ready?
Ready.
You go first. You remember that?
Always.
Random Footballer of the Week.
Amir Zaki.
Thomas Redzinski.
Random Footballer of the Week.
Moving on?
No, not moving on. What we've got for you guys right now from this. So what was yours? Amir Zaki.
Amir Zaki, yes.
Is Thomas Redzinski. We're gonna put it on a poll on Twitter, guys, right? And next week we're gonna start off with. I think next week's gonna be our first proper episode. Well, that's exclusive. If you got this far in, you'll know. Whoever wins that one, Thomas Redzinski, will be the inaugural. Oh God, how do you say inaugural player in our random footballer of the week, and we'll display it. We'll display it right here, just before it. Now we're going to move on to Gammon Thoughts. Now, Cal,
we're back with Gammon Thoughts, and this is a beautiful one for me. I do love it. I can't lie, I love it.
I've got a jingle as well. Do you remember my jingle last week? How terrible!
I do.
You ready for this jingle?
Go on then.
Gammon Thoughts, not quite Brexit, but if you haven't heard in the crowd, then you want to exit. It's Gammon Thoughts.
It's something. It's something.
Is that okay?
It's okay.
It's better than last week. Did I say it right?
There's more thought and purpose than last week, anyway. I am going to kick off Gammon Thoughts with a listener comment. We had one, which we always love.
What's he called?
What's the one last week from Liam from Brighton, who came in with a Gammon Thought on our YouTube.
Yes.
This one was from Twitter, which is brilliant, and it did make me laugh. This is from Stephen Sheridan, who comes from God's country, Burton Wood. And his comment, it just took me because I've heard it a million times before. When you think to yourself, this game just needs a goal. Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Neither team are going out to get a 0-0 draw. Not this 0-0 when you're 4-0 down and trying to boost team morale by claiming it is. I just remember, I quote tweeted it on the account and I said, I really like this.
That's like the opposite.
It took me back to the Peep Show quote. It's just a quote there from David Mitchell, and he says, "I think they're trying." It just took me straight back to that.
That's
Yeah,
like the opposite.
brilliant.
That quote that with this game needs a goal is like the opposite of 0-0, boys, 0-0. That's like the opposite of it. That's like
Yeah.
the opposite gammon. Like it's weird, but that's the same thought as like, do you know the game when a game's like 2-0 and it's like, oh, the next goal decides it. It's like, yeah, of course
Yeah.
it fucking does. Like you just,
Because if it's 3, it's over. If there's another goal for the other team, you
yes,
think,
well
okay.
done. A goal decides a game. Well played.
Yeah. It's so true, and it's so easy, and it happens every week. These are my favourite. I think the last 2 weeks, obviously having Liam and Stephen now
Thank you for the comment.
saying these. Yeah, thank you both for these comments, because I love how the innocence of them, because you could literally hear it every week.
Exactly.
Every game, it just happened.
If you hear it in the crowd, then you want to exit.
That's it.
Let's get the check going.
We'll make a proper recorded jingle of it one day.
I couldn't have sounded more white if I tried.
Yeah. But yes, that is definitely going into the Gammon Thoughts
Like
proper.
we said last week, this is exactly what we said about Gammon Thoughts. Like this is exactly what we thought, and he's nailed it exactly. What was his name? Sorry,
Stephen Sheridan.
Stephen Sheridan. He's absolutely nailed it on the head, hasn't he? With the Gammon Thought, like it's just anything in the crowd where you'll hear it. You'll hear it in Warrington. You'll hear it. You'll be like, oh,
I was gonna say I'm gonna have some fucking content after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I made up with it, and yeah, a brilliant entry into Gammon Thoughts. Dom, anything to add?
I think it's more of a case of pie talk. I think people love talking about pies when it's Gammon Thoughts. They love to compare about pies. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Potato pie. Oh, it's a pepper steak pie. I think they love talking about food rather than the game. I think that's just the general chit chat in the concourse. And yeah, if like I say, it's not just to do with football, guys. It's to do with anything in life. If you hear any Gammon Thoughts, like, oh god, it's not quite Brexit. I think that's the we're towing a line here, aren't we? And it's but any comments will be appreciated, like we say every single week.
Definitely.
Now,
and you get a shout out, as the last two I've proven.
And yeah, Stephen Sheridan and Liam Vickery has found out. You do get a shout out. And you'll probably get a shout out next week because there'll be a third person to add to this list.
Yes.
However, I'm worried that Gammon Thoughts will be a one appearance in the main pod, and that's it.
We can hope anyway.
Something that's not going to be a one appearance in the pod is our new segment, which is not Nick of the Week. It is Nonsense Hall of Fame.
Yes. Excited about this one. I think Nick of the Week was a good little starting point, and it ran its course.
However,
and its course was 2 weeks long.
However, I think we were a bit too cynical with that. I think that the fact that Nick of the Week was a bit too like, we're pushing someone down where we need to be pushing somebody, like we're punching up. We're punching up, aren't we? Rather than punching down. We're Nonsense Hall of Fame, where it's just whatever nonsense you want to talk about, like whatever nonsense happened this week, whatever nonsense happened in the world, whatever that nonsense happened in the last decade. You know, it's whatever nonsense you want. And I think what we're going to do right now is we're both going to put a Nonsense Hall of Fame entry in, and you guys are going to decide on this on a poll on our Twitter account. So, Carl, who wants to start this? Do you want me to start?
You can start if you'd like, my friend.
Okay. So, the last 4 years have been quite a turbulent 4 years, just not in life, but in what we're talking about is football right now. In life in general, we've had COVID, you know, we've had Boris, we've had Joe Biden, we've had Donald Trump, for God's sake. You know, we're going through a bloody recession almost. But there's been one constant. And that is the man at the back for England Football Club. This man this man has gone through it all. And he's gone through the turbulence of Manchester United in their troughs. you'd say, in absolute anti-peaks.
Yeah.
And
Peril.
he's Peril. Yeah, it's the same thing. I don't know English that well. This man has a big forehead. But my Hall of Fame nominee will be Harry Maguire. And this is the reason why, because he's gone through so much shit. He's gone through so much turbulence and so much animosity on social media, from the presenters, from TV, from pundits, from radio, from us, on YouTube.
Yeah.
He somehow through it all, still got in that England squad. Now,
Still there.
this is nonsense. And he shall be in the Hall of Fame. I rest my case.
I like it. I like the innocence of it, because there's many ways you can look at Harry Maguire, and there is one that you feel very sorry for the fella, and we touched on it last week. And I went on a different angle this time. I'm thinking Hall of Fame, and I'm thinking there's probably one time ever in my life where I could see a versus in between Harry Maguire and the great Hugh Edwards. So, a bit of background. I studied journalism at university and managed to get a degree in it. So I watch a lot of news here and there, mainly sports news, but here and there you see a lot of people, and some of them are just brilliant at what they do. And this past week, you can't prepare for what he's had to do this past week. And he's been non-stop on the TV, and he's absolutely nailed every minute of it. And I saw a tweet before, and I think this is why it categorizes in this, what we're trying to do. The tweet said, I wonder if when Hugh Edwards goes home, he just keeps narrating. So here is the tea bag, and we'll go.
What is he? Is he Welsh? Is he Welsh?
Yeah.
Go on, no, wait. Give us your best Welsh. Gives you best Welsh.
Well, so here is the tea bag, and it will go into the tea, and we sit here and we are waiting for an official announcement, but we see the tea, and it's entering the bag, and the milk, which is one of Her Majesty's finest favourite things, will enter the tea, and then I will go to bed. And I saw this, and I thought, wow, I literally can imagine exactly Hugh Edwards leaving the studio, going home, getting into his house, saying hello to everyone in the house, and then sitting there and thinking, he can't switch off. So he's just there narrating everything.
Hello, tonight for dinner, we've got a chicken dinner with...
Exactly. So I was like, and then I've watched him, and obviously I watched him today with the Queen's funeral, and he's been on so much and done it so much. I thought, fair play to the guy. He's probably not had a wink sleep, and, he does a great job. So in a different light, but also I thought it'd be really funny to have Harry Maguire against Hugh Edwards. So I don't know which head wins that battle.
My God.
Our listeners will decide.
It's the nonsense Hall of Fame, guys. So I think the best thing to do right now is who's going to win a fight in a pub, and it's a tough one, that one, isn't it?
It is a tough one.
That is an immovable object versus an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that one, to be honest with you?
I think we put it to the listeners on a quick Twitter poll, and see how that one ends up. Whoever wins it, however, will enter a forever standing Hall of Fame within the pod, and we'll be there forever. We might give him a clap next week.
Yeah.
And they'll be there in a nice, lovely frame. What I've visioned in my head is a nice little golden frame on top of it. Obviously, they'll be the first one. So
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, because R.I.P. Graham Potter and Gareth Southgate's
stylist. Fair play to them, but they didn't quite make the bill. And listen, it is how it is. And they might feature there one day. There's no reason why not. If we crash out of the World Cup early and Gareth Southgate's in, God forbid, a tracksuit, it's over for Gareth Southgate's stylist, and they are entering. And he is
entering that Hall of Fame. And then, God forbid, when the inevitable happens and Graham Potter gets sacked in 3 months' time, then
he might be there too. So never say never.
Never say never. But
sorry, guys, your turn hasn't come yet.
So, guys, remember, we've got the random Hall Random football of the week as a poll. And we've got Nonsense Hall of Fame, Harry Maguire versus Hugh Edwards.
That's brilliant.
It's great, isn't it? And I think that's a wrap, isn't it? I think that's our pod done. And how are you feeling over pre-season, Cal? Because obviously in the next episode is going to be our first game of the season. So are you ready for it?
Do you know what? I'm really glad that we did this, how we did it. And yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've thought about it all the time. And it's, it's been really good for the mind, like to get into something, get stuck into something like this. I'm really glad that we've decided to go with pre-season episodes.
Yeah, they're not wasted, are they?
Exactly. And it's got us up to speed with it. And it's good to see people jumping on board already.
Yeah.
But
even if they don't, like, it's just fun to get out and
that's it, of course, and obviously it's growing and growing. It'll continue to grow. People will continue to share it, and do you know what I am feeling right now is really, really ready to get right stuck into it. That's what I'm really ready for.
Who are you hoping for first season?
Oh, guests?
No, I meant just in teams, like. But we do have guests involved soon, don't we? Yeah, that's that thing. We have how many guests do we have linked up? Do you think?
I think we have about
three
or four already that are
hoping
for it.
One's really intriguing. One I don't really know much about, but you know a lot about, which I'm really excited for.
All will be revealed. I think what it is worth saying is obviously to anyone who's got to this point, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. By the way, why are you here?
Yeah.
But thank you.
But thank you. And we have so much lined up. We have, ideas every day that are coming through.
We're talking to each other every day, aren't we? We're talking about the bits. And like Gavin Thoughts is here right now, but like I say, it probably won't be a lasting segment. We've got bits coming every other day. The football speaks for itself, but the last half, like we say, is down to you guys, and it always stems from the community, always stems from you guys, the comments below. Hopefully we'll get to a stage where we can hope like we can vibe off you guys and make bits from there, can't we? That's what I'm thinking.
That's it, and that's what it all depends on, is that we have these ideas now, and I feel like there's going to be some podcasts in the next few weeks that you're really going to enjoy, and it'll teach you a thing or two about certain people that you might not know much about, or certain things, how things work in different realms of football and in life. So we've got things planned, but as Dom says, you're a massive part of this, and if you can help us in any way, it'll be so appreciated. So my final point, Dom, would be, guys, subscribe, please, and leave a comment and just get involved. In general, on Twitter, on TikTok, on anywhere. We're going to be more active on all platforms as of now. Pre-season is, well over.
Yeah. We've done our final match, and we know our formation. Next week is going to be the big one. Yeah. Episode 1 of the season. Like Cal just said, Cal, where can we find you on any platform?
So you can find me personally. I'm at Callum Nickel on Twitter and the same on Instagram. But the big one that I want to push right now is our social media for our pod, which is the Talk Nonsense Pod on everything bar Instagram. Said it last time. Some absolute moron decided to take it.
It should be in the overlay. It should be in the overlay anyway. But follow it, guys, because we will. What we discussed beforehand is we're just going to talk nonsense on there, whatever we want. Even when we're pissed at 4 a.m., we're just going to throw anything out. So hopefully you guys can, at 4 a.m. you might actually get a reply, to be fair. Please subscribe to this channel as well. This is my own personal channel, obviously. But we're going to make a proper YouTube channel for this eventually. I'm not sure when. Maybe for the first episode, is that?
Yeah. It's pretty much set up now, but we will get to that when it comes to it.
Yeah, we'll get to that when it comes to
our base.
Yeah. Please like this video, guys. I do appreciate all the likes and the views and the comments that are coming in recently. I mean, it's a snowball effect, and I'm loving it, guys. So, Cal, it's been a good one, hasn't it?
Yep, I can't believe pre-season's over. I'm excited now. I've got the butterflies.
Get the butterflies going. I'm here
Yeah.
and never walk alone going down that tunnel, you know.
That's the one.
And thanks for watching, guys. I'm if you're at this stage, my God, you guys are the real ones. Peace, guys. I'll see you later.
Thank you.